Hey guys, what's going on? So today we're going to talk about how to make passive income using stock music sites, something that I've been doing for a few years now. And if you have any beats that are, collecting dust on your hard drive, or you're not selling on your beat stores, this is a great way to kind of break into the sync game, make some passive income to help with rent or other bills, instead of them just sitting around doing nothing. We're going to go over two sites that I use today, namely AudioSparx and Pond5, that I've been with for a few years now. A lot of people message me online, especially on X, Twitter, Instagram. They ask me about sync, how to get involved in it. While I do tell them, you kind of got to reach out to sites and agencies directly, this is a great way to take all of the beats that you've made maybe the past couple years, or jingles that you're making and stuff, and put them available for people that work with media companies, commercial. It's more for individuals and companies that have a smaller budget, that aren't really looking to do a blockbuster sync budget, you know what I mean? So say a small commercial or a weather channel, or somebody for TikTok or whatever, they want to make an ad or they want to use some type of song in their media. They go to these stock music sites, and prices are usually anywhere from $25 up to a couple hundred. I've been using them for a few years now, and I've made pretty good money doing it. So we're going to go over two today that I used, namely AudioSparx and Pond5. Let's get into it. So what is a stock music site? When you look on Google, it says stock music sites provide licensed music for content like videos, presentations, advertisements, serving as cost-effective alternative to popular songs. These platforms offer royalty-free tracks from large libraries with a range of genres, moods, and lengths to suit various creative needs. A company buying a track for hold music, when you call a hotel, or if you call a customer helpline and they have music playing in the background, they usually get them from this. And I've actually done stuff like that for companies that have call waiting and things. A YouTuber who doesn't really like anything that's available in the YouTube library, he can also do something like this so it doesn't get flagged. Even local radio stations or weather channels, like that. I just made a kind of weather channel album with smooth jazz and stuff that is perfect for call waiting, local things, or just background music to kind of give a good mood. So the one we're going to start with is AudioSparx. Now, before I go further, I need to shout out ModernBeats.com, because this was the website that helped me get in touch with AudioSparx. They reached out to me through them because they heard my beats on ModernBeats.com. I also would like to shout out, I believe it was 50 Shots Beats who I was talking to that reminded me of this website. I've had a lot of producers over the years tell me to use this website. I kind of was hesitant too at first, because as you can see, it's kind of old school, and they're selling kits from Timbaland and back in the early 2000s. It's got that very early 2000s look. So I was a little hesitant about giving money to something. So as you can see, they do have a lot of placements. It just looks kind of cheesy, with the sides, these people are signed. But the thing is, those people were actually signed to deals through record labels, and I've looked it up and I've actually talked to some of them, and yes, that is real. So this website basically, Interscope, 300 Entertainment, Miami Publisher, beats and songs needed for Wiz Khalifa's A&R, Marvel, Atlantic Stars, Comedy Central. I've gone through this, and while I haven't had really big numbers through here, if anything, this website has definitely provided me with connections. I did get signed to 2 sync agencies through this website, through people hearing songs that I submitted and contacting me directly, and then we formed a relationship. One of those companies is in Europe, another one is in California, and I have 2 in Florida. I didn't get through this website, but I work with them as well. But the one in Europe, I had to actually pay an additional fee to get my writers or something over there, because they do it different, in the UK, than they do here in the States. So that's just something to think about. You can get 30 credits for $95. I do have discount codes available for this, so if you like the video, leave me a comment, and if you message me personally on a platform, I will give you a code to use to get a discount for this website. Also, if you do use this website, please mention me. My email, logsbeats@gmail.com. It gives me credits as well, so we both can help each other out. So anyway, yeah, this website is it's good for connections more than anything. Can you get something that would pay you like $6,000 on up? Absolutely. I've seen people do it. I've actually talked to a few producers online who have made significant money using modernbeats.com. But today we're going to be talking about the stock music sites, whom I was introduced to through here. So let's start with AudioSparx. AudioSparx isn't invite only, but they do have an application and an approval process. So like if your sound isn't what they consider, good for what they're doing or what they're trying to provide for people, you will get declined. I was approved. I was actually personally invited through somebody hearing a track that I did on modernbeats.com, and they reached out to me directly and invited me to join AudioSparx. You can sign up for their alliance page between a few different licenses. A full AudioSparx license is non-exclusive, but your tracks stay in their system permanently. Radiosparx only license, it focused on in-store and background use, and it's more flexible if you don't want them locked in forever. I wasn't really aware of this when I started using them, and some of the beats that I've uploaded have since gotten placed with other companies and stuff, and it's really hard to delete tracks from there. I found it's very difficult. The thing I like about AudioSparx is it's not just a one platform thing. It puts my music into other websites like stockmusicsite.com, Radiosparx, and I believe their parent company, Navarre Enterprises. I hope I'm saying that right. Navarr Enterprises. Like I was saying before, the good thing about websites like this is instead of waiting for a $2,000 or $5,000 sync deal, you can be making $40 or $50 per license over and over indefinitely. It doesn't happen. It didn't happen for me right at first, but it does come through. And when it starts coming through, you'll be sitting there, 1 month, you'll get 50, 100, 50, 250, and with that combined with either like BeatStars, SoundClick, with you doing your beat licenses to artists, and then having another sync license plus royalties coming in from DistroKid, using your beats on social media and stuff, all of this stuff kind of adds up and puts you in a position to be doing music full time, or at least getting a lot of your bills paid while you're working your day job. So the cool thing about AudioSparx is you don't only own sales from selling your beats to people to use, but when people play your music on that website, it triggers ASCAP or BMI. So if you have these songs, which you should, registered with your BMI or ASCAP, it asks you on AudioSparx for the numbers that you got to put in. As vendors are listening and people are listening to your music on these websites, you're actually getting paid for them not to buy it, but just to listen to it. So say they listen to it and then they purchase it, you're getting a sale purchase, and you're also getting paid for the people that stream it. There's been a few months that I can remember where I didn't make any sales on that website that month, but I did get a lot of plays, so I still got paid for it. And these are the beats that I still have on every other platform as well. So I'm getting paid multiple different places for the same beat that like I didn't sell exclusively, or I'm not selling to anybody right now, so it's money in my pocket. So the thing to be careful of with AudioSparx that I would tell you is when you opt in for their distribution, your tracks may also end up on external platforms, and that's like a long-term contract. I wasn't aware of this. Just make sure you're comfortable with non-exclusive licensing, and be careful not to upload tracks you want to keep for like higher sync deals. For example, most of my film movies and stuff, like music for that type of thing, I wouldn't upload to these type of websites for stock music. Those are a higher price, and somebody that's working for a major movie or even a bigger commercial agency, why would they pay me, $3,000 for a 30-second clip that they could just go to a website and pay me $50 for, So you kind of got to think about who you're targeting with this stuff. It's mostly like background music, lo-fi, stuff you would hear in the back of a commercial or on an elevator or call waiting. I wouldn't say necessarily don't submit trap beats and type beats that you put on your BeatStars and stuff like that. But at the same time, those are needed as well, especially over the last couple of years. That's been getting a lot more mainstream. I've heard it in Netflix. I've heard it in, other things like that. Even music producers I've talked to who sync is their main thing, they have a BeatStars and stuff like that, but they gravitated towards this because the payout is just much higher, and they've played stuff with the NBA, NFL. But again, NBA, NFL, all those, companies, they're a different tier than what I'm talking about today. So just use your own judgment. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask me. Okay, and the other one is Pond5. This has been a favorite of a lot of people. It's a newer one than AudioSparx, but it's more out there. They advertise a lot more. And while I'm currently actually redoing my Pond5, so I took my music off of there and I'm uploading different things. Anyone can sign up for this. You just verify your ID and you start uploading. So there is no process, there is no screening, there is no, is your music good enough to be used? Which also means at the same time, Pond5 is a little more saturated with people because anybody can join. All you need to do is upload your ID. Whereas like AudioSparx, Radiosparx, and some other websites, you need to be approved to be a part of it. Like your music has to be of a certain quality or you're not allowed to use their services. So that's just something to think about. You can upload WAV, stereo only, and it has to be under 10 minutes for Pond5. There's metadata and keywords for both websites. AudioSparx is pretty intense when you start to get into it. There's like dozens of different, what it sounds like, what kind of genre it is, and everything, which can be overwhelming in the beginning. But once you kind of get used to it, it's a lot easier. For Pond5, you get up to 50 keywords. Buyers will search things like hold music, weather channel music. So you kind of, it's almost like doing hashtags for YouTube or something. You have to think, if I were, somebody that wants to license music, what terms would I look up? What words would I use and type in to see different songs? And you can try it out yourself. I do, to see what words I should use for my music or what's being played the most. So I should note that while anybody can sign up for Pond5, there is an account approval which lets you get on the site with your ID, and there's also a content approval. They need to make sure that the quality is okay, like a wave, making sure it's not distorted, there's no clippings. They check the metadata, the accuracy, like the keywords. If it seems spammy, it usually gets rejected. The big thing for both of these websites is the legal issues. You cannot use samples that you do not own. And that's kind of been an ongoing thing with beat makers, especially in recent years, with either BeatStars, SoundClick, I don't care, Airbit, whatever. If you don't own it, if you don't have a license to use it, just don't use it. You know what I mean? So my strategy with these websites, like I was saying before, I do more of like the call waiting music, elevator music, little jingles and things like that. I put on these websites. Bigger stuff for film, better produced things, I keep and I send them directly for briefings that I have with the other sync agencies I'm signed to. This is a volume game. A few tracks that you weren't doing anything with, if you can sell them consistently 50 to 100 times at $50 a pop, that's good money. You know what I mean? Being realistic. I know producers online they talk a lot and they say like, oh, I'm making X amount of dollars a month, or I bought a new car with this. And like, are people doing that? Sure. But for the average person that's starting out, or, you know, a guy producing in his bedroom who you may have a part-time or full-time job at the grocery store, or maybe you're in a situation like me, you know, I got 2 kids, I have a wife, you know, I'm going to school full-time too. So even making an extra $1,000 to $3,000 a month through these various things takes care of a lot of your bills through the month, and it gives you more freedom in life to do what you want. I'm not a millionaire, I'm not like, you know, but I do have a 3-bedroom house. My car is paid off, and I have a pretty good life. I get to, you know, travel and, you know, do my things and enjoy my family, and I'm not like extremely well known. That's the other thing too. I know a lot of people want to get placements with big artists, and that's a great goal to have. You know, I've worked with some pretty well-known artists over the years, but at the same time, like, I'm always going to do this because these stock sites generate money for me. The sync licenses generate money for me. We're talking about living life here, you know, and using your ability to make music to provide you with money to support your life or your family's life. That's why I went into this, you know, avenue after I was, you know, strictly working with rappers for a long time or recording artists and stuff. I went into this because I saw, you know, the need for it, and I was like, I could definitely do this. Like, I have beats right now off the top of my head, you know, that I was like, I could hear that in a commercial, or I can hear that on a call waiting. So, you know, why not put yourself out there and get started with this? Because it's just another thing to add to your creative outsourcing of your own music. Why do BMI and ASCAP matter in this situation? So royalty-free, when you buy these from these stock websites, royalty-free does not mean royalty-free forever. The buyer pays once, but if they play your music in public, like in a store, on TV, the Weather Channel music, like I was saying, the network or the venue pays BMI and ASCAP. They have blanket licenses that they need to pay every year, and you do get paid for it, because I've had from these stock music sites, I've had music play in airports, Charlotte Airport in North Carolina, that I've directly seen. That was from a stock music site. Somebody licensed it. It got played in the airport, and I got paid when it got played there, because that's a public performance, you know, that a pro rights organization covers. For me, I own both my writers and my publisher's share through BMI. That means I'm not splitting with a publisher or a middleman. I get the full amount of my performance royalties that come in. If you're new to this, owning both sides is a big deal, because it doubles what you take home comparing to only owning a writer's share. So you can be your own publisher and a writer as well. And as for the cost of that, it really depends on when you're watching this video. I would recommend going to BMI or ASCAP and checking their membership pricing. I like BMI, and I've been on there for years and years now with my publisher and my writers. I do get paid by them quarterly. They send me letters in the mail too. You can also use, as a BMI member, I think you get discounts at hotels, and there's some other perks that you get, which is always good to have. Coming towards like the end of this video, let me break this down to you in a checklist that you can follow. So first, you should always register your tracks with BMI or ASCAP. So if you don't have an account with them yet, regardless if you're trying to be a music producer or an artist or anything, you should always have pro info. If you don't, get it now. That's the first and foremost. Get a BMI account, get an ASCAP account. That's priority. Register your tracks with them that you're going to be uploading to these websites. I would always export my tracks as a WAV, you know, higher quality. Don't do MP3. Make sure it's WAV, unless for some strange reason they ask you for an MP3, but I doubt that they will. Make it a relevant title, you know, the description, and stack your keywords properly. Upload it to Pond5 or AudioSparx. Set your price modestly around $50. You can go in there and check other people's prices too. Some of my stuff on AudioSparx I have higher. just because when you do upload through AudioSparx, it will ask you, it'll like give you a number. It'll say, oh, other people are selling it for around $120. This is the low end, this is the high end, and you can kind of set it where you want to. But I've noticed that $50, it's pretty much like selling beats on BeatStars or other websites. When somebody sees $20 or up to $50 for a lease for a song, that's not ridiculous. You know, like most people will pay that. I have people pay me every single month for beat leases. You know what I mean? So even on SoundClick, I do like a wave is like, I think I do $40 for that, and an MP3 is $30, but then I offer like buy one get three free. My track outs are $100, but it's the same thing with this. And most people working with a network or a company, they have no problem spending $50 to $100 on a track. If you actually go listen to the radio and listen to commercials, you know, you can look up commercial playlists on YouTube of people that have made, you know, playlists of commercials with background music. A lot of it isn't that crazy, you know, like you don't have to be a super producer to do this. And I think that if I could tell you guys anything, that's it. You know, you don't have to be an extremely good producer to make sales doing this, because most of the stuff I hear, I'm like, that's garbage. And it's in like a Netflix, you know, thing, or it's a simple, we're talking a 2-track, you know, a ukulele and a friggin' bass line for 15 seconds that somebody got paid for. You don't have to overproduce. You don't gotta make it sound immaculate. You should make it sound good, but at the same time, like I'm trying to tell you, most of you watching this are probably at the level right now where you're able to do that. Go listen to commercials. You do it every day. Driving in the car, turn the radio on and listen to commercials. Or, you know, the next time you call a company or something or a hotel and they put you on hold, listen to what's playing in the background. Most of the time it's a low quality, not that good track, but somebody's getting paid for it. Trust me on that. And I'm one of those people because I get money in my bank every single time one of those plays. So, you know, and again, like, say somebody licenses your track for $50 on one of these websites, but it ends up in a retail chain like Walmart or, you know, TJ Maxx or something like that. Over time, you know, your BMI royalties are going to be stacking up for that. That's something to consider. Just like when I was saying one of my tracks got placed in an airport. That's on loop, man. Like, you got to understand, that plays every day. It's on a loop. Holiday Inn does that as well. Most hotels do that as well. Like, the guys license songs. Now, of course, when you get into like a Holiday Inn or a bigger hotel chain, you're going to hear hit songs that are on the radio. But there are artists that weren't signed to a major label that I've looked on my BMI royalty statements and been like, damn, like that's playing in a shopping plaza somewhere, you know? And these people aren't like necessarily signed with Atlantic Records or anything. They're independent and they just got the right song out to the right people. So this is kind of the back end royalties that people are talking about when you see, you know, on Facebook, or like people are trying to pitch you to give them $7,000 to tell you like, oh, you can make royalties so many ways. Let me take your money and explain how. I'm explaining to you how for free. And I'm going to continue to make videos like this. I'm trying to do them a little more. I've just been really busy. All of the advice is out there for free. If you just look it up, like it's out there, man. We have AI now, Chat GPT, like you just got to look it up. All right. So that's how I build passive income with my music catalog between, you know, upfront licenses and backend royalties. It really does add up. If you got music sitting around and you're not really putting it anywhere, or it's been sitting on your BeatStars for a year and a half and you think like maybe this could go into something, I would definitely look into this. And like I said before, if you do use that ModernBeats website, please mention my email. Please mention that you heard it from me, because I do get credits and I've been with them for a few years. I do recommend them because I've made phenomenal contacts through them. And I still talk to a lot of those people, ones I even met 4 or 5 years ago through ModernBeats. Not to mention the thousands and thousands of dollars I've made over the last couple of years, you know, had it not been for me meeting them, getting introduced to them. I mean, I've had even, you know, placements on my Instagram. You can check. I had adding a running placement with Brazil for a Brazilian women's clothing line. You know, none of that would happen if I wasn't networking with people. If this helped you, please subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, drop a comment. And if you'd like me to make another video on something, whatever, just let me know. And again, if you have any questions, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram. I'm usually on, I keep saying Twitter still, I'm usually on X the most, but you can even shoot me an email, logsbeats@gmail.com. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.